Hello, and welcome to I'm Too Busy. I'm Christina Flach, your host. I'm a celebrity makeup artist and CEO with a passion for all things beauty, wellness, and success. On this show, I'll take you on exciting journeys, sharing personal stories and insights from inspiring entrepreneurs. Together, we will explore manifestation, health, wellness, and the secrets to thriving in life and business. Let's jump in and get inspired.
Hello, I'm Christina Flach, and I am the host of I'm Too Busy, and I am so excited because I am going to be speaking with this incredible makeup artist who is very, very famous and fabulous, and her name is Ashunta Sheriff Kendricks. I would like to welcome her to I'm Too Busy. How are you?
Hey, Christina, how are you? Thank you for having me.
I'm very well. Thank you so much for being here today. Let's just start at the beginning. Were you a teenager and said, okay, I think I'm going to be a makeup artist? How did you get into this?
Oh, I started at 2. I was way younger. My mom was, at the time, she had moved from Mississippi, and she went to, by way of Mississippi to Chicago and moved to New York after Chicago with hopes of doing Broadway, doing theater, doing acting. And so she was like on those big chorus lines on Broadway, like where you're on the lines outside. So I
Oh my God.
dealing with all of that stuff, and started, getting some small performances. And then she started doing like events, and had really successful events, like a ski trip, like what Black people go skiing. She did this whole,
I
so
can't.
she was a Renaissance woman. She really was, but, listen, South Africa has snow, so I know where we come from. There is some snow, like so. But anyway, funny enough, she was always getting ready for an event or a little performance. And so as a little kid, I would be there, and she had this kind of makeup case. It was from YSL. I remember it, and it was like beautiful and pretty. Like she probably got it like with a gift with purchase at Macy's.
Yeah, whatever. It's YSL. That's fancy.
Yeah, it was, but it was. I just remember the box itself drew me to it, and
Right.
all of her makeup. And I would just sit and play and watch her process, and that started from 2 years old. And I like by the time I started dancing regularly, because that became my passion, was dancing as a kid. So from the age of 3, I started dancing jazz, modern, hip hop, African, all of those things.
Wow.
And then by the time I was like 5, I was like serious. Like we knew, dancing was going to be in my future. So I was like doing people's makeup backstage for performances and recitals. I was like one of these little kid influencers. Like I was really already steady handed. And then went to high school, kept pursuing that whole creative space. So I thought I was going to now go into musicals, be an actress, kind of follow my mom's footsteps, because, that's what you kind of have to do. You have to know how to dance, you have to know how to sing to do that kind of work on Broadway. And so I thought like I'd be an all around kind of type of actress that could dance, that could sing, but I don't want to be this famous actress, because I was never in my trajectories. I just want to be a working, actress, and have a decent living and do what I love. And so
Right.
that kind of got smited out. And then the makeup artist was born. So that is the journey.
That's amazing. Who was your first celebrity? Do you remember?
My first celebrity client is really kind of a toss up, because I had different experiences that kind of all led into each other. And so, I don't really attribute it to the one, but I would say if I had one big major A-list person at the time, who's still an A-list person, just in jail, it was Diddy. And so,
Oh, wow.
P. Diddy was my first big, celebrity, like
That's
steady.
huge.
Yeah, and it was big, and I started working with him in the late 90s. And he was a mogul by then. He was already had an empire. He was starting to move into the space of liquor. Ciroc was starting to get born in the 2000s. And so just, he was pulling me in many different areas that I had never worked in before. I came from retail. I started at Mac, and I really started at Ricky's. If anyone knows, they know. It's a small store in New York that's a chain of stores in New York, and then also upstate New York has Ricky's. And it's basically like the Sally's of the East Coast, or the
Right.
Ulta of the East Coast. And it was one of the first of its kind that had like the salon size products, but they had a really great array of makeup products. And I was, that's where I started. I was 19. I was at the makeup counter and, in a very popular Ricky's right around the corner from Webster Hall. So,
Oh
club
my
club
gosh.
kids and we were open till 3 a.m. So club kids were coming in, getting lipstick, getting glitter, getting hairspray, like all kind of crap. Everybody's coming in, and so I was making these real time networking connections, and that would lead to me doing drag makeup for drag performers, and then I got a job at Mac, and and just everything just kind of trickled
One
from
step led to
there.
something
Yeah, but
else.
did it?
That's what happens in our industry.
Yeah.
It's so interesting. It's like you don't really expect to get where you are, but then one client refers you to someone else. And do you have you worked with agents?
Yes,
Do you have an agent?
I've had several agents in my career, and now I just have management. I don't really have an agency. So, but I was at the Wall Group for a long time, which is a really big
In
prominent
LA.
agent. I was actually
Yeah.
with the New York agency, the New York office. I was also for a short time with Streeters, in their New York as well side. And then I was with some boutique agencies earlier in my career. There was a agency that I was with for quite some time called Epiphany Artist Agency. And then there was, before that, my very, very first agent was Ramel Cooper. And I literally remember calling Ramel saying, um, I want to get representation. And she was like, well, I was really new to the game and I didn't have really any skin in it outside of like a few fashion shows for Fashion Week and,
Right.
touching up people backstage. That's not tangible work for a.
Right. You didn't really have a book
Yeah, I
per
didn't really
se.
have no, I had a portfolio, but it wasn't like, it didn't have the celebrities in it. It didn't have a
Right.
lot of editorial in it. It just had like a lot of test shoots in it. And then I had these like fashion show experiences and these one off with celebrities that were not full on experiences. And so she was like, well, I can't rep you. You don't really have a real working book yet.
I know, but that's what's so hard about being a makeup artist. Like, yeah, but how am I going to get these people if you don't represent me?
Yeah.
Like clearly I'm skilled. I have a lot of talent. And that is what's hard. It's like
It's like a
this
catch
crazy.
22. It's
It is. It's like I'm not going to get any work until I get an agent. And then you can't get an agent until you have work.
right.
It's like,
It's this
it's
crazy
really hard.
cycle, I know. And I didn't know what to do at first. And so she gave me some good pointers. And this is, these are the tips I still share to this day, like with young up and coming artists. I just have now elevated it with the time because now it's about Instagram, it's about social media, it's about making sure the look of your socials a certain way when you're an aspiring artist, vice versa. Me, who's a seasoned artist with 3 decades, you can't compare
Right.
that work. You're
Right.
trying to get work, and I've been working, and so you have to market yourself a little different. People can book people like us off of the experience. We now have that roll out of a
Right.
resume. So I
Right.
try to teach young artists that same thing because that's what I was. I was that young artist that didn't have the work, right? That the agents were looking for to feel like they could market me and sell me to clients. And what ended up happening is I also tell young artists this as well, like always network, not in a way where it's transactional with people, but we're making real human connections with people. That is a form
Absolutely.
of networking too. I've met great people through different cohorts since I've become a founder and have a brand, and that's a whole nother, we'll get to that, I'm sure.
Yeah, we'll get there. We'll
but
get there.
but in meeting all these people, you make real connections, and someone may have information or you may have information that we can cross pollinate, share, and help grow. And so that's where it becomes organic, because it's like I'm giving you something, you're giving me something, and we can still grow and still bet on each other and win, and not be like all it's all about me, because we all know beauty is a very competitive space, and it's a very saturated market. I'm constantly hearing, there's so much product, there's so much offering. There's now, a new wave of brands coming out that are from influencers. Before it was makeup
Right.
artist
And
driven, and
celebrities.
celebrities.
Right.
Before it was makeup artists or corporations made brands,
Right.
or corporations hired makeup artists to create brands. But now corporations are hiring celebrities to make brands and influencers to make brands. So we're just seeing this whole change, and there is a crossover if a makeup artist is of a certain notoriety, right? Like a Makeup by Mario or a Patrick Ta, and
Right.
you're really famous, where a company may say, hey, let's partner together and do a brand with you. But outside of that, you've got to work hard for it still, right? So
So hard.
so for me, the goal, I feel like when I meet a lot of young makeup artists, they want to be exactly where we are in this exact moment
Oh,
in our career. And I always tell them, I'm like, you got to work to get there. It may seem like it's one, two, three, easy peasy, but there's a lot of
it's
steps in between. And
right.
in
How many shoots have we done that we haven't gotten paid? We've been there all day. It's, but that's why, I think that we are successful because we love what we do. And it's not about the money. I mean, I know I don't even need to ask you because I know you have that we will do shoots because I want to work with this photographer or this celebrity or I want to be in this magazine. I don't even care to get paid. I'll pay you to let me do this shoot, right? And so,
and you know what?
I mean,
That is actually a formula that a lot of influencers who came into the industry, they took we're not going to get hired, so we have 100,000 following, and this was in the beginning of Instagram, and some celebrities didn't have even as much following as some influencers did, and so there
right.
were influencers that were like, hey, I'll pay you to do your makeup and post you. And so that was a method that was working. And hey, if it works, it works, because listen, we all know we're in a pay to play industry. It is what it is, right? But
Right.
my biggest, I guess, thing to young aspiring makeup artists and makeup artists that have been in this industry, as long as we have, and maybe just feel a little hopeless right now because the industry is changing. There's a
It's always changing, though. That's one thing with the beauty industry. It is. I had this conversation with my publicist. I've had it for years, and she's like, "The only thing I can promise you is everything's going to change." I mean, remember when magazines? It was the stylists, the celebrities. There were no influencers
Yeah,
when we
the
started,
stylists were
and
the
so
influencers. They were.
right.
Yeah, they absolutely
It
were.
was just different. You could give a celebrity because I had my first line called Pretty Girl, and all I had to do was send product to a celebrity, and they were nice enough to like use it, mention it, and that was it. We didn't have to pay them.
Right.
Now it's a whole other
Oh
ball
no,
game.
now you have to like literally pay
Oh,
people.
pay them a lot.
Yeah, it's expensive.
Like you've got to like sell a house and a kid. Like
Yeah, no,
serious.
I actually heard like some huge rates quoted to me, because now I'm doing influencer and marketing things, and I just couldn't believe. I was like, they're getting paid as much as some of my celebrity clients, if not more, for some of
Right,
them.
right.
So,
And what's scary about that? It's a risk. Like you can pay someone $500,000. Are you going to get that back? I don't know. It's risky.
it is
It
a
really.
risk, and also that's another thing to tap into in our conversation is that change, like you said, change is constantly happening in the beauty industry. That's one thing we can depend on, that change is going to happen no matter what.
Right,
And so from my perspective, if you're a professional makeup artist and you work TV, film, theater, whatever it is, if you're a pro artist and you're getting paid for it, and you've been doing this over 15 years and you're seeing work dry up because AI is coming in, and there's studios are not quick to actually greenlight projects. I think we're at I think 60%, 65%. Don't quote me on it, but I've heard this in terms of industry work actually happening compared to what we would normally have. So we have like this all time low, or like a internal recession happening in the film and TV industry, like almost.
I believe that.
and
I
and so
totally
there's a
do.
lot of hair and makeup people, costumers and grips and all kind of crew members who are it's they can't crew up, there's nowhere to crew. So what I'm advising to a lot of people in our field, they may feel like, oh, I don't want to be another hair or beauty brand. I'm like, find a skill set that's at least within your wheelhouse, that you can go get a certification in, learn, and start monetizing from, because that's the
Right.
one thing.
You need plan
You
B.
need plan
You've
B.
got to have plan. You do.
Beauty industry is always going to be flourishing, because people always want to look good, and it's no longer just a woman thing. It's everyone, all sexes, all races, everyone, all hands
True.
on deck wants to look good, because
That's true.
especially post pandemic. People were trapped inside and away from each other. And now everyone's like, I'm pulling out all my Sunday's best just to go to the grocery store. Like, people are really like, I want to be seen. And it makes me feel like that change happening when black and white films were changing to color, so to speak. And, there was going to be a whole
That's true.
industry out of work. And then, you think of silent film changing to actual sound, where we have Techna sound and Technicolor and all these different things that we don't think about that actually changed, but we grew up seeing. I remember seeing, the logos from movies, and just you could tell like it was still on film, when I was a little girl.
Yes. Right.
I remember going to see Star Wars and it was still a projector, playing, because I was a
Right.
little girl, when the first Star Wars came out. And I don't even think I
Right.
even knew what the hell the movie was about. But I was, but, my parents wanted to see it and I was a toddler. So, I went with them. But it's just, that's like the kind of changes. So how do you adjust with those changes? Well, you lean into the gifts that you do have. If you're good at eye makeup, listen, go get, a certification in the brow, blade, microblading,
Brows or lashes or
lashes, facials. And even though people are like, oh, listen, take the money, invest in yourself, because even if the industry does bounce back, now you have a secondary income, now
right.
you create a
Why not? You
whole
always,
another lane. Start that
I
podcast you've
think,
been wanting to start.
absolutely. I mean, it's so interesting. I never expected to do, first of all, a podcast. Now I'm on NBC on California Live. I didn't expect to do that. I didn't expect to be writing for magazines, but you kind of have to pivot and go, okay, I'm kind of uncomfortable, but I got comfortable being uncomfortable doing these things that I never expected to do. But how great, like, and even having my makeup line. So days that I'm not on a shoot, well, I'm working on my company, and I know you do the same. And
Yes.
you have worked with, okay, these iconic people. I mean, girl, I can't. Zendaya, Rihanna, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
What's the secret you're creating looks that become moments in pop culture?
Um, for me, some of those moments, I would say with Zendaya and Rihanna in particularly, I was kind of filling in a lot of times for like their main makeup artist. So I didn't get to
Mm-hmm.
I had some defining moments with Rihanna definitely early in her career where I set a tone, definitely. But then
Right.
as her look started to evolve and I wasn't always readily available for her, because simultaneously when I was working with Rihanna, I was primarily Alicia Keys makeup artist, and working.
Again, another iconic, beautiful woman.
And so
And what a face.
exactly, and with Alicia I was setting the tone,
Right.
every for almost 14 years for the looks, for a
Wow.
long time. And so, with that being said, it was just really like stepping in for within Zendaya. Someone asked me could I fill in, and I filled in with her as a teenager, and then again when she was a young adult. And she's just so lovely, but she knows what she wants. She knows her aesthetic, her look, who her audience is, what she's appealing to. And same with Rihanna knew exactly, what she wanted in terms of her aesthetic for makeup. I feel like she always came with ideas, like even if the label didn't like it. And so she's, when Good Girl Gone Bad came out, it was like, this is the perfect title for her, because she was,
Right.
she was the artist that was rocking the boat in the best way, standing up for herself. At a
I
very
love
young
that.
age, she was like 19 years old. And I remember it was passed down to me, and this is a true story. Don't put her in red lipstick. We don't want her in red lipstick, and don't pull her hair back. They would tell the hairstylist we don't want her hair from off of her forehead. And there were all these different like silly, stupid reasons for it. And it just, for her, she was like, pull my hair back, give me a red lip, and
Ah, I
literally,
love that.
like when Fenty came out, and she came out with the Stunner Red. It was like one of the first colors. Like she came out with the Fenty paint colors. Everything I knew. Like there's backstory that I
Like you knew every
yeah.
color in her palette there. You're like, I know
Yep. Yeah,
exactly
like when I saw
what
when
that
I
was.
saw when I saw the red and the black, I already understood it. I was like,
You
this is
knew.
the auntie. This is her.
But
This is
you
this.
inspired that.
Yeah. Well, no,
I mean, that is
I didn't inspire it, but she was the one to stand on, like, you want to put a red lip on me? This red lip would probably work. You want to pull my hair back? I'm not listening to the label. I'm going to do what I want. And, so she leaned into our expertise, but she also did what she wanted, and I
right. I love
admire that
that.
greatly. I definitely admire that greatly. So when I saw those things coming out in her brand, I didn't think of myself. I thought of her, and how she always
Right.
championed for herself all along the way. And my first thing out is going to be like a red and a black matte lip cream and matte foundation and everything that you guys didn't want me to do. I'm still iterating that to this day, even though I'm a
Isn't that
platinum
interesting?
artist, because those things hurt when you're an artist and the label is telling you you can't do something, or you can't do something XYZ because another artist is doing it, therefore you shouldn't do it. And it's like, no one owns red. No one owns pulling my hair back into a ponytail off my face, you know?
Right.
And there's people don't talk about those types of things that we on the inside get to know, that there is that level of control over imagery sometimes with new artists, especially.
Right. I always feel like an artist knows I always let an artist have freedom to express themselves, because I always feel that you're going to get a better version of my work if you let me express, like, and I know you're the same. You care so much about your client's face. It's your face, right? And you want them to look like the best versions of themselves. And we take such pride in our work and we want them to look amazing. So I just feel like, it's unfortunate that some labels and things will not let them see like what they feel is going to be the best versions of them,
When you see Hollywood movies that tell like these crazy stories about like what it is to be a celebrity, and what it entails in terms of corporation, because they're a corporate entity. They are
Right.
they are a commodity to the corporation. And so it's like there's an idea sometimes on a very corporate level and a very business level of what someone's imaging should look like.
Right.
And sometimes, when you're hired into these A-list spaces, that's something I never knew about. When I was a makeup artist at Mac and bumping around little celebrities and doing weddings and little influencers at that time in the early 2000s, important people, whatever, I didn't know that there were that level of depth, into the building of an artist's image, until
Right.
I started maybe breaking a rule here and there, doing something the label didn't want, or doing something that they felt worked against the artist's image. And so that's when I started to realize, oh, okay, when I'm being hired by a record label, it's gonna be what the artist wants, but it's gonna be what the label wants too, so you start learning.
There's a fine line,
Yeah, you
right?
start learning.
You want to make everybody happy.
Yeah, and so
And that's hard
it
sometimes.
is, especially when you have a strong, opinionated artist who's like, no, F that, I want to do what I want to do. And then you're like caught in the middle. So there's a lot of
Oh,
politics that happens being, in our space, in the glam space, and working at this level, with,
right.
you're working with J-Lo, you're working with Gwen Stefani, you're working with Rihanna, you're working with Beyonce, you're working with really, Alicia Keys. We're talking about huge, huge artists, and a lot comes with it. There's a lot of cooks in the kitchen sometimes, and I've tried to navigate the best that I could to make sure that even with all the cooks in the kitchen, with all the noise, that that I'm still speaking to what my artist wants. Because at the end of the day, it's my artist. It's my artist. So
It's true. So I also think, like, as makeup artists, we're kind of therapists, we're kind of moms. We have to, we always want our clients to look and feel good. I mean, you want to make them look like the best version, but they, sometimes they're in a bad mood. Sometimes they want to talk. Sometimes they want quiet. And you've got 3 seconds to figure out whether they want quiet, that they want to talk, or they want to hear you, and you need to know it, or it's an issue.
yes, I agree completely. I remember I was working on a commercial, and it was a really well-known director, and he came to me and he said, he knocked on the door and he said, hey, Ashunta, you have a minute? And it was like, top of the morning, only when we're in at our call and like the
Right.
80s and stuff. And he said, I just want to check in with you. I'm going to check in during the duration of this commercial before the talent arrives. I want to kind of get a scope from you of how they're feeling, so like, let me know, like after you've done makeup, just give me a thumbs up. Are they in a great mood today? Or is it like a sucky day?
Yeah.
He's like,
Oh, I've had that.
he's like, I don't need to really know what's going on. And he said, I don't expect you to tell me that, but just give me a little heads up.
Give me a clue. Give me a sign whether it's a good day or not such a good
Yes,
day.
I had to, basically just give him that little check-in that really helped him to navigate his workflow that day with the talent. And people undermine sometimes how important glam and or vanities as they call us sometimes, how important
Right.
we are to the production, to the storytelling, that the makeup tells a story, the hair tells a story, the fashion tells a story. It's not just
Right.
location, it's not just cinematic storytelling, it's not just direction, it's also those little nuances that we get to be a part of. Like when I thought of Cookie, from Empire. Yeah.
That's just where I was going.
Really? Okay.
So let me just I'm going to ask you this question because this is you have been part of history making projects like Hidden Figures and one of my absolute favorite shows was Empire. I loved her when she would like hit her kids with a broom. That's me. I'm that mom.
Oh, hilarious.
My kids saw that. They're like, "Did you teach her that, or did she teach you?" I'm like, "No,
You're like, we're just in alignment on how it.
yeah, we just are. We're moms and we're raising people."
Yeah.
But how did it feel knowing that your artistry has helped tell powerful stories on screen?
I think in the moment when it's happening, I'm not really focused on it. I don't think like I realize how special Hidden Figures was. Not that I didn't realize it in the moment, but I really try to um, live in the moment, period, as a person. And so when I was
Mm-hmm.
working on Hidden Figures, I was very much in a space of gratitude. I just remember every day going to set really warmed in my heart and my soul.
Right.
Feeling this surge of beautiful energy because we were really telling a story that had, many people didn't know, including myself. And when you're learning, especially right now, how pivotal storytelling in history is, where we have a government that's trying to eradicate history. Like right now we have, not to get political, but it's a true thing. Donald Trump wants to take away certain history, of African Americans from the museums, and certain things that are being taught in school. And one of the things that I have felt from Hidden Figures in particularly, um, it's touched people.
No, it
I
definitely
did
did. I love that
I
film.
did the
So
yeah, I
powerful.
did the press tour, with Taraji for that film. And when I tell you, the women from all walks of life, white women with white little kids coming up and being in tears, like I showed my kids this story. How can we be in this space now where these are the kind of stories that may not get told, because we have an administration that doesn't see the value in real history, and what really happened, and creating another
Right.
narrative that's not real. So Hidden Figures touches people because it's a human story, the of especially not like, it's beyond even color. Yes, color is a big part of it because that's what was happening in the time, but what's even more revolutionary is that a woman,
It's
was,
more. It's a woman. Right.
yeah, a woman was at the center. She just happened to be a black woman, was at the
Right.
center, and that there were all these women, white women too, who were the computers that were doing all these computations that a lot of men were getting credit for.
It's
So
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 shameful,
it yeah,
honestly.
so it's really one of, when you say that, and then you have the juxtaposition of a show like an Empire, where it's racy and it's dramatic, and it's giving dynasty and the new age meets hip hop meets entertainment film, and all of the crazy dark things that we hear happen, possibly happen, could happen, you
Right.
know
Do
do
happen.
happen. We just had a trial, right? So do happen, like things
That's
happen.
right.
So at the end of the day, both of these positions, these shows that I've had the pleasure of working on, and with Empire, I got 2 Emmy nominations from that. Um,
That's wow.
I mean, I wished I got one.
So
I
exciting.
really felt Hidden Figures was worthy of Emmy nomination for makeup
Definitely.
and hair for sure. But those are the things that that I feel like get missed, sometimes, whatever. And I'm not doing it to be accoladed at all. Um,
I know you're
but
not.
I'm still.
But there's certain projects that you feel passionate about that you're like, you know what? That deserves something because I've worked on projects like that. I mean, obviously not at that level, but that I'm so proud of, and I'm like, those deserve to be acknowledged.
Yes, they
So
do. They
no, I
do.
totally get
They
that.
absolutely do.
Let's chat about your brand.
Okay, perfect. Ashunta Sheriff Beauty, we started 3 years ago now. We are scaling and growing and, bootstrapping all along the way. But a little bit about the brand is basically, we're a clean, skin conscious, vegan, cruelty free, paraben free brand that works for ageless beauties. That's our special focus, which are women 40 plus. We offer,
Right.
bold, colorful solutions that are highly pigmented, waterproof, and I call life proof for the busy person.
I like that,
You
life
know,
proof.
yeah,
That's good.
because you want to have makeup. Like I just ran up and down the stairs to let my son in, and I sweated profusely because I'm also in that change of life because I'm in my 50s and my makeup is still on, and so that's the
Right.
whole point, is that we want to have makeup at this stage in our life, because no one that I know that's 40 plus is not busy. They're all busy as hell. Like I have to.
Right? They're all too
Yeah.
busy.
So, and it's not just only the busy moms. I have busy friends with brands. I have busy friends with running nonprofits, busy friend, and everyone's kind of almost at this executive level that's 40 and over, whether
Right.
they're a stay-at-home mom, executing the family, because that's a job when you have multiple kids. I know.
Yes, it
And
is.
you know
Yes.
this full force when you have multiple kids, especially as when they're younger, it's a real hard work. But as they get to be teenagers, and if you're teaching your kids how to be responsible, how to have chores, they're
To be good
be good
humans.
humans, have responsibilities, you end up having some level of support and help, like in the family execution of things. But for a long time, it's it's mom and dad, or mom doing certain things alone, whatever.
Right.
So the brand has just really been geared towards giving that confidence to a person who wants to put it on. I have dudes that's who are news anchors who love our Blur Effects powder because it's colorless, and it doesn't show up. It has no cast. I
Right.
have women who do male grooming, and they use our browsing brow gel to do handlebars on mustaches and groom guys' eyebrows. So
Right. Right.
we've
Right.
really become like a brand that the pro artist has leaned into. A lot of productions are using us. I'm starting to get orders from production, and
That's so
so
great.
we're growing. We're on Nordstrom.com, we're on Amazon.com, we're in TikTok Shop, and then we're working on some really great partnerships as well that are going to be happening this fall. We have some pop-ups coming up at Macy's. We just did a pop-up at Nordstrom in New York
Oh my
City,
God. So
and
excited
then
for you. That's
I
huge.
know, and then
That was really
I
huge.
know, those pop-ups are great. And then we have an appearance at the makeup show for all your makeup followers. It will be in
Wow.
Houston on September 20th and 21st. And so just so many really, really great things happening, then some, there's some things I can't talk about yet, but there are some big things
Of
in the works.
course. What are your thoughts on gut health associated with good skin?
Oh my gosh.
Do you have any?
Absolutely aligned on that. Gut
Right?
health is absolutely important. People are looking for glass glow, but it's the glow is within. I tell people that all
That's
the
right.
time.
Beauty from the
The
inside
beauty
out.
is from the inside
It's
out. And I always hear it
totally.
mainly because people can't believe how old I am. I hear it all the time. People are like, you're not in your 50s. There's no way you're. And I'm like, I'm in my 50s. And when they see me face to face, it's even worse. They're like, no way. Like you can't be in your 50s. And, it's not just attributed to black don't crack. It's really, that is a big part of it. Gene pool, like I was blessed that my mom looks really young for her age. My dad, even when he passed away, he still looked young for his age. But I would say gut health, absolutely. Making sure you
Right?
making
It's what?
it's the building blocks, that and your liver.
Oh,
And
yeah.
your liver and your gut are the two things.
Alcohol is not going to make you
No,
pretty.
it isn't. And it's funny you say that. I'm a full 5 weeks clean of no alcohol. And I wasn't even on some, I need to get sober. It's just so much social drinking as a founder, like
Right. You're going to an event. Oh, you know what? Because I have that same rule like, oh, it's a school night. I can't have a drink. But then you're going to an event. You're like, okay, I'll have one. It's like, ooh, I'm
and
breaking my own laws.
yeah. And so if you're in multiple events a week, especially in the summertime, you're really drinking up way more than you want. And so I had to be like, you know what, I need to ease off because it's unnecessary calories, definitely not helping my liver, and definitely not
And
helping,
it's not helping you sleep either, which is super
and not
important.
helping your menopause. And so, and then
No.
also it's not special anymore, special occasions. I believe that everything in moderation. So I'm not a
Totally.
person's like, oh, I quit, except for there's things I have quit and I'll never do those things again. But in terms of alcohol, I feel like, for me, it just wasn't like a problem, like to that level where, oh my gosh, I need help or whatever. I just needed to make some readjustment.
You just needed an
I
adjustment.
needed cleansing. Yep.
You need a little cleanse.
Hmm.
So you have always championed inclusivity. Why do you think the beauty industry still struggles with diversity even today?
Why does it still struggle with diversity? I think that at beauty's core, where it is now, is the most diverse I've ever seen. We can
Right.
open up TikTok, we can open up Instagram, we can open up YouTube, Meta, wherever, Pinterest, and there's a lot of diversity that's out there in terms of
Right.
product offering. We can't say that there's no shades now. They're a company with 64 shades, of foundation,
Wow. True.
so what are we going to have a shade for every single complexion on the planet? Like, come on. Like, at the end of the day, we have, I think, there's a lot of good bones for diversity in terms of where it is. Where it's missing the mark, I feel like, is money. And what I mean by that is a lot of brands that are founded by women of color, or as we call it, BIPOC, Black, Indigenous, and people of color, which is a huge group of people. We're talking about
Right.
Indigenous people from all walks of the planet, wherever Indigenous is. If it's South America, if it's South Africa, Indigenous people or melanated people, it's everybody on the planet.
Right.
A lot of people, and they still have a hard time finding their products on shelves. So the
Right.
product is there, people are having to circumvent going into retail and going right direct to websites, right, to find an Ashunta Sharif beauty, or to find a Glamazon beauty, or to find the different brands that are out here that they feel they're seen in and represented in, and that's cool. But that's where we're missing the mark. The retail buyers, they're still buying with the lens, a lot of them, of bigotry, and I'm just being really blatantly honest.
I want you to be.
I think that
No, you
there's a
should.
lot of retail buyers. They're also scared to miss the mark. Why? Because their jobs are out. They're out on their ass. When they don't pull in the right brand and they don't make the right numbers. But where
Right.
they're missing the mark is when they see a brand like mine's, and not because I'm so passionate about my brand, but I also have the legs behind it. I have 30 years of
That's right.
experience.
That's what's different with someone like you
Mhm.
or me, that we actually still work as makeup artists.
Right.
Like, we are not just like coming up with this. We've had 100 years of
Right.
experience.
And
So
so for me, when they see the legs, they see that we have, 22,000 subscribers to our email list. So
that's
that means we
amazing.
have a community. They see I have over 100 and almost 40,000 people on my Instagram. You see all of this recipe for formulation to have success. Why can't I have an opportunity to test pilot 20 stores? Why
Absolutely.
why can't this opportunity happen to test pilot 5 stores? Why can't that happen? Because there's a system in place that says, we don't see it for you. And it's simple as that.
Well, they're missing
I had a buyer say this to me from a very big store, and it really was, and it's a male buyer on top of it. And so, not to have, prejudice that men can't buy beauty products, but
Well,
unless you're in the LGBTQIA family, I don't think you should buy any products for women. Like,
I agree. Like, how are you going to have that would be like us going into, the men's department going, yeah, I'm going to buy men's fashion
yeah,
for
yeah.
men. Like, I don't know.
Unless I'm a designer by trade who has designed for men, who's made men's slacks for 10 years and styled men.
Right.
There's plenty of women who have styled men. I have several friends who are huge male stylists. I would trust them to make a men's fashion line because they have
Right.
25 years of styling A-list men on red carpets, and they're
Right.
amazing at it. And they are designing. They're partnering with big fashion houses, coming up with the idea and then executing it from start to finish. So again, that's what we do as makeup artists. And to me, for big brands to see, oh, Ashunta has this traction. We've made this amount of money. We're doing this. And we have all these pop-ups. People are trusting us. People are, where is it not connecting? The thing is that those buyers are too caught up with the influencers, and not that the influencers aren't important, because they are important. But like you said, the trust is starting to dissolve because people know they get these big paychecks. It's not realistic to the time, because
No.
when you get scheduled in to do a celebrity to do the Today Show, and you have a 4 a.m. call time at their hotel, and when you get there, they're literally rolling out of bed, sometimes didn't even brush teeth or showered.
Right.
You've been given 2 hours. That's glam in total, everybody. So when am I going to
Right.
get the time to pull out some cold bulbs and give a full facial and have,
Right.
studio ready lighting plus be set up? Like the setup
Oh,
alone is 30 to 40 minutes, and they're not even letting you in the hotel room until
I know.
4:15, but your call time was at 3:45. So it's up system.
They do not know how. I mean, it's so funny. People are like, "Oh, you have such a fun, glamorous job." I'm like, I was at work at 1 a.m. to go with the client. I was in Beverly Hills with the client at 1 a.m. She's like, it is so stressful that people don't realize how hard that we actually work. What's a beauty myth that you'd love to be erased forever?
My beauty myth is that, ageless beauties can't wear color, that they can't be bold, that they can't do fun, hip, quote unquote, makeup designed looks, graphic liner. I believe that there's a lot of things that people can wear. It just has to be done in a way that works best for them. And so my whole motto is there's no rules to makeup. It's about finding what works best for your eye shape, for your face shape, what lip colors work best for you. Maybe not a blue red, maybe an orange red. So there's all these different things that we can do. Makeup is an art form at the end of the day, and you are the
Absolutely.
canvas, and you have the right to do whatever it is you want to your face. And I'm just here as your makeup artist to help you execute that.
Exactly. What have I not asked you today that you'd like to share?
People can find me on social at Ashunta Sharif, at Ashunta Sheriff Kendricks on both TikTok as well as Instagram. And the beauty page can be found Ashunta Sheriff Beauty on TikTok and Instagram. And our website is ashuntabeauty.com. Come shop us. And at Nordstrom, just Ashunta Sheriff Beauty. You can find us there as well, or on Amazon.
And I will have everything in the show notes. Thank you so much. I could have spoken with you for literally 3 hours.
Oh,
So thank you so
thank
much for
you
your
so much. I
time.
appreciate it.